lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against.
Just a quick comment on Steph. I released a statement on him, and absolutely, appreciate and feel strongly about the player and the person. He's a great kid. So, unfortunately, as I said, we decided to part ways. Don't have any other comment on that right now. So that is what it is. We're really focused on Houston, and this is a team that we're pretty familiar with in terms of playing them every year for the last 6 years or 8 out of the last 9, whatever it is. Certainly some familiarity with people down there, from Nick to Frank Ross to the offensive situation. And some of the players and so forth. But, again, it's a new team, and, Lovey defensively is, has his style of play, so that's something that's different from, what the Texans have done. Certainly, David's done a good job emphasizing the running game down there. They run the ball a lot, and those backs have been very productive and try to throw it a lot to Cooks. So, again, a team that, even though we sort of know them from our, let's say, annual competition with them, there's quite a bit of newness with some schemes, some players, and just, let's say, a little bit of an overall, obviously, change in the direction of the program. So that, coupled with the work that we need to do ourselves, regardless of who we play, it's a big week for us, and looking forward to getting off to a good start here and continue to build and improve through the week.
Bill, when you were spending a league record $160 million guaranteed in free agency, how was it that you and Steph couldn't come to some sort of an agreement on a new contract?
Yeah, and I'm not going to have any more comments on that right now. I already made them.
Obviously, the goal is to win. So when that situation happens, how does a guy like Stephon Gilmore not factor into the future plans to say ultimately?
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to get into that now.
Bill, you released the statement, obviously, but one thing that was not in the statement was the timing of this. Obviously, he was on PUP, so it would seem on the outside, without the benefit of the knowledge you have on the inside, that there was maybe a little more time before you had to make this decision. So can you just speak to the timing of the decision?
There have been a number of things that have gone on for a long period of time, and finally we just mutually reached the point that we reached.
Bill, was there no trade value in Stephon?
And I'm not commenting any further on it. I appreciate all the questions, I really do, but I said all I can say for right now.
Bill, how confident are you? And I mean, J.C. Jackson obviously played a big role for your team for multiple years now, but he's sort of the top guy at that position moving forward. How confident are you in his ability?
That's the way it's been for the end of last season and this season.
And you're comfortable where the group is?
Yeah, well, I mean, if are you trying to relate the two situations? I don't really understand the question.
I'm just asking.
Do I think JC's a good player? Yeah, I think JC's a good player. I think he's a very good player. He's performed well for us. So, yes, he's a good corner. He's a good player.
How's Sean Wade coming along? I know that's a move you guys made right before the season started to improve that group.
Yeah, well, we made two or three things right there at the end of the preseason, beginning of the roster, formation of the rosters, and I think all those guys are, some have played a little bit, some haven't, but glad we're working with them. I think they'll eventually help us. We'll see.
Is his not playing yet just getting up to speed, or is it just there are guys who you feel like right now are just better options, or maybe a combination of both?
Yeah, we've been pretty healthy at that position. I'd say overall that group's played pretty well. There's always room for improvement. I'm not saying that, but overall we've played the passing game fairly well this year, and played the best passing game in the league last week, and played that competitively. So I'd say there are other areas on the team that or again, everything can be improved, but there's other areas that could improve more than that group.
Bill, any update on the Jamie Collins signing or situation?
No update.
Yesterday, you guys put Isaiah and Mike on the COVID list.
Yes.
Given their situation, is it still possible that both of them could play on Sunday?
Yeah, we'll follow the league protocols, and you know what they are, whatever they are. If they clear, they clear. If they don't, they don't.
Do you see, you got Justin and Yasir, who've been splitting it right. Do you see them as an option at left if you need them, or would that be more like Yadni?
Yeah, we have 3 tackles plus Isaiah and
Trent.
well,
Oh.
yeah, and Trent. So we'll see how it all works out.
What do
I
you
mean, there's
see?
obviously some questions there, so I don't know if I don't even know the answer to myself. I'm not trying to be evasive here.
Bill,
Not that you would ever think that. I'm trying to be evasive. I'm not saying that. I mean to put words in your mouth there, Mike.
Bill, would, I don't know how much he's practiced on the left side since he's been back with you guys, but would Trent, if he's healthy enough to play, would be a consideration on the
Yeah,
left side?
Trent's obviously played both sides, so he's capable of playing both sides. Sure.
looking towards Houston, where do you see Davis Mills as he's starting to play a little bit more at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think Davis is a very talented player. Had a lot of production. Had some big wins last season for Stanford. Good arm. Pro style quarterback. So I think he's got a good base. Like any rookie quarterback, he's learning all the time. But I think you see a good talent level and a good ability to make the throws. And I think they're doing a good job of trying to bring him along, not trying to overdo it. But he's good. They're good on third down. A good third down conversion team. And like they were against Jacksonville. I don't know it was Tyrod, but again that's carried over a little bit with him as well. That they're pretty productive there. So that's those and they're a good red area team. So 2 of the things that the Texans do well are the red area and third down, and that's 2 of the toughest situations for a quarterback.
Bill, Juwan was down last week. What have you seen from him so far, and what does he need to do to be a regular contributor on Sundays?
Yeah, well, again, each week's a different week here in terms of game plan and matchups and special teams roles and so forth. So I think Juwan's played. I think he will play. Every week we'll probably come in here and ask about somebody. Why didn't this guy play? Why didn't that guy play? So we can only activate the number of players that we can activate, and we activate the ones that we feel like would have the biggest impact on that particular game. And that's definitely not the same every week.
What did you see from Nikhil in his return?
It's good to have him back. Hopefully he'll continue to work into the offense and timing and production and so forth. And he and Mac haven't had a lot of opportunity to work together for several weeks. So it was good for them to do that last week, and hopefully that'll continue to improve. This week and going forward.
Bill, what's Jalen Mills shown you over the first month of the season?
Well, it really goes all the way back to the spring. Jalen's been one of our most consistent players. Worked very hard in the spring. A new system, a lot different than what they did at Philly. Has played all the positions in the secondary, literally every one of them. Linebacker, nickel, star, safety, you name it. So he's shown a lot of versatility. He's a very, very competitive player that has a good skill set, do a lot of things. It's a tough matchup for him last week. I thought he really competed well against Godwin.
Bill, how different is the Texans' offense with Coach Culley than it was when Coach O'Brien was there? And I'm sure there was some overlap between your system offensively and Coach O'Brien.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting question. Last year the Texans were one of the top passing teams in the league. They threw for almost about 5,000 yards. Then their number of passes was high. now a lot of that was with Kelly after, Billy wasn't there, even though, so he really took over the play calling and coordinator. Maybe he did that for Billy too, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. He did it the rest of the year in our game where they threw for almost 400 yards against us. Coach Culley, obviously coming from a little bit of a Baltimore background now, Coach Culley's, he's been at, a lot of different pro and college teams, so he's got a very varied background. But the running success they had in Baltimore, it looks like it's pretty clear that they have that same kind of mentality with the Texans. They run the ball a lot and there's high frequency. They have a good group of backs. Johnson kind of, has his role. And then, the other three backs and, two backs, plus Rex. And then, when they had Tyrod in there for part of the second game and the first game, he was another guy that could, run the ball there as well. So when you look at all the backs together, there's a lot of production. Now, is there any one guy at the top of the rushing list in the league? Like Ingram's up there, but I mean, when you add them all together, then you're looking at a lot of running production in terms of yards, touchdowns, and carries. So I'd say it's an interesting combination of, Culley in the running game and that emphasis with, Kelly in the passing game and the production that they had there last year and continue to have there this year. Cook certainly is a highly targeted guy. Their tight ends are really good. I mean, they killed us last year at almost 150 yards between those, just their tight ends. So, and Johnson's really good as third down back. And I mean, he's an every down back, but he's, very good on third down and passing situations as well. So it's interesting to see how it's kind of come together. It might be a little bit different with Taylor versus Mills. I'm not sure exactly how they look at it. It's a little bit different, but I mean, structurally, I don't know. But it's interesting how it's come together. And I guess we'll just have to see going forward here what we get. But I mean, they threw the ball like they did last year against us. I mean, that was a big problem, and we know they like to run the ball and control the clock and play good field position, keep their defense on a long field, and play good in the kicking game, and they do all those things well. So there's that element as well. So I would imagine whatever we're not handling very well, we'll probably see more of it.
Take a final question?
Obviously familiar with Cooks. What have you seen from him this season? Seems like he's been able to be pretty productive.
Again, targeted a lot, probably targeted as much as any receiver in the league. And, he's dangerous on everything. Obviously, he's tremendous speed, great deep ball player, super competitive, tough kid, run the intermediate routes, and, it's a catch and run player on, quick screens and under routes and things like that. He gets a step on a guy and, he can turn a 5-yard gain into 20 in a hurry. So, we got to do a good job on him. But, he's certainly a guy that can take the top off the defense, and if you got too many guys on him, then that creates a lot of space for everybody else. So he's certainly a go-to guy for him in the passing game. We got to do a good job on them. But like I said, the tight ends that's a good group. It's one of the better receiving groups that we've seen. So I'm sure those will be tough matchups for us too. Great. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Again, practice is on the lower practice field. Should be 105, but I get out there on the early side. Thank you.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together. Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade? Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.